Andrew, and You guys did great. Hold on. Thank you.
There we go. I didn't think about it, Chris.
I'm gonna end mine.
Oh, yeah.
Your name badge for you?
Good morning, everybody. It's Kelly.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey,
Good morning,
hey, this
everyone.
is Auburn.
Good morning.
Good morning. Are we muted?
I don't know. You're not, Dale.
Okay. I
Hey,
we don't
everybody.
have any- I know we don't have any video the other way.
It's all right.
Hey, everybody out there. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you.
Yes,
Yes,
can
hey
hear you.
David.
Okay, perfect. Unfortunately, I'm the only one who's going to be able to hear you this morning. So if you have anything really important, you're going to have to put it in the chat, and I'm going to keep an eye on it, and then I will be your voice this morning. Is that better? Hey, Walt.
Hey, how's it going?
Morning, buddy.
Good morning, guy.
I can't hear him. So. I know. He can't hear you. I'm the only one that can hear him. He said good morning. Sorry, we're gonna figure more of this out over the next couple of weeks.
David, do you know how many signed up to be at the meeting live?
I don't. Right now we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 21 people I see in here.
21?
Yes, 21 with 2 members of the Greenfield Police Department.
Yeah. There's no fun.
Good morning, Marty.
Morning, Tony.
Hey Tony.
Did you have a good birthday, Dan?
Good. How about you?
Oh, it's just wonderful.
We were up in the mountains the whole weekend. It was awesome.
Oh, it's nice.
And my kids, it's funny, I have 3 children. One lives in Hawaii, and she gave me a little gift card for dinner on Waikiki. And the other 2, not known to one another, each bought land for me, a square foot of Scotland. So I'm a laird now.
That's wonderful. Well, you can take me up to visit your place sometime.
Well, my grandson was really concerned about how we were going to be able to build on 1 square foot, but he was.
That's great, Dan.
Happy belated birthday, Walt.
Thank you. Appreciate that. How you doing, Buster? Are you going to do Happy Dollars remotely, or is Bobby physically there?
I don't know. I'm ready to do them. They're just as not funny remotely as they are in person. So how many people are at the venue?
There were 21 just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, and 25 signed up, Guy said. So.
Okay.
I wonder how many seats they've got in there currently in that setup.
Morning, Tom.
Morning, guys. How are y'all?
Hey, Tom.
Great.
Morning. Did we get kicked out of the meeting already?
Yes.
Awesome.
They haven't turned everything on. They must not want us to hear what they're doing.
Well, I could hear David a while ago.
Everything's going to be right here on the Gate City Rotary video. So you can actually spotlight it if you mouse over it and click the little 3-dot button. You can spotlight it, and then it'll show up as the one big video there on your screen.
I think you just did it.
Dave, I liked y'all's production yesterday. I didn't get to stick in it for very long. I had a couple meetings pop up, but it was a good content.
I appreciate that. We work real hard on that, so glad someone enjoyed it.
Morning, Kelly. Oh.
You woke back up, huh?
Can you sit up, please?
Emily is playing tonight. Emily. With her.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything we need to be doing?
There's nothing we can do till we know. We have the.
You can request the money. It takes some time sometimes.
Kelly, you may want to mute.
It takes some time.
Kelly, you may want to mute.
Pull part of it from like my income, pull part of it from your. I can write a check out of the Raymond James, but I don't really want to do that.
Kelly, you may want to mute.
Yeah, you could probably mute
Leave
it.
on there.
All right, everybody start breaking out your dance moves.
Well, this is going to be a really boring meeting. If all we're going to do is just sit there and watch them wander around the room.
Well, it's, yeah, it's 10 after 7.
Yeah, that may be programming wise one thing to sort of figure out how to work in is, if you're not there in person, just doing a slightly later start or something to the video portion of it. Nice.
That makes sense. I think you had a second there, Tony.
Yeah, there's a little bit of background noise there.
Yeah, looks like there's about 15 of us online.
How many people are at the restaurant? Does anybody know?
Um,
25 signed up and 21 were there at 7.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Judy has our invitation to get us started. Judy, they have a mic up here.
Welcome back, everyone. I know we're all excited to be back. God of all nations, Father of the human family, we give you thanks for the freedom we exercise and the many blessings of democracy we enjoy in these United States of America. We ask for your protection and guidance for all who devoted themselves in the common good, working for justice and peace at home and around the world. We lift up our duly elected leaders and public servants, those who will serve us as president, as legislators and judges, those in the military and law enforcement. Heal us from the differences and unite us, O Lord, with a common purpose, dedication, and commitment to achieve liberty and justice in the years ahead for all people, and especially for those most vulnerable in our midst. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four-way test. Is it the truth?
Will build goodwill and better friendships. Will be beneficial to all concerned.
3 out of 4.
Does it help to use it? Okay, Kim's going to give our Sergeant at Arms report. Thank you, Kim, for coming early and volunteering.
Yeah. And thanks to Gail for being here early too. It's nice to see everybody. Isn't it great? Let's have a round of applause around together. We've got 22 members with us today. We have our speakers today, and we also have 2 members from our satellite club, Stephanie Justice and Peter. I'll crucify your last name. So all right, so thanks.
Yeah. So before we get started here, I just want to say safety is definitely going to come first for these meetings. If we want to keep attendance and we want to keep people coming back, we need to make sure we all practice safe measures. And I'm going to hold myself accountable first by wearing this mask, which I don't really like, but I will wear it. And if I see people walking around not wearing it, I will gently remind you to wear it as well. Okay, just so we can take every step possible. We were marching through this. We're getting to the point where more and more people are getting it. This is actually probably the most dangerous point ever. So we need to make sure we stay diligent to keep having these meetings. All right. Rick, you want to call out our birthdays and anniversaries?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Gate City. Good morning. Man, good to be back with everybody, right? Yeah. We do have a couple of things to celebrate today. Dale Meltzer would have a 18th anniversary with the club today. And Lisa Simpson, I know she is here. Miss Lisa.
Hey.
Hey, you got mouthful of food there? How many years at the club? Anniversary on?
I think it's 4 or 5.
How about 5?
5.
There you go. Cinco. Congratulations there. Got some member birthdays. Dan Quinn's not here with us today. He had one on the 1st. Danny Farley had one on the 1st. Right here. How about Dr. Walt? Is he here this morning? He's in there. All right. I guess he's out celebrating. He had his yesterday. And,
Walt's online.
Brad Giles' wife, Sarah, had a birthday today. They've been here, we can sing to them. Then some wedding anniversaries. Let's see, Mike Allen, you gotta see Mike. He and Beth had an anniversary of 36 on the 26th. And Richard Nealon is not here. Okay. I guess everybody knew who was going to be on the list, and they decided we'll just not show up today. Okay. I almost batting 100 here. All right, and let's see. Looking ahead, next week, Chip Vale and Brian Kaiser are here today. They have anniversaries next week. All right, that is it for today, Mr. President.
Bobby's going to step in for our football pool. He's going to do our announcement. We're trying to work out how to do the football pool where we can still all participate and still announce it. So Bobby's going to step into that.
All right. Where are the prizes for this? There's no football pool, no prize. All right, let's see here. I got this last minute email from Mike Allen, and let's start with the lowest scores.
I think it was sent yesterday.
Dennis is not here. Dennis, are you there? Dennis, shame on you. Congratulations, you got 20, correct? Mark Luttrell, 21. And you correctly picked Philly and guessed a total score of 70, and the actual total was 32. Who's your bookie? Don't answer that. Tony Humeyer, 21 correct, and he correctly picked Philly and guessed a total score of 36. He was close. Actually, it was 32. All right, highest scores. Our esteemed president, Guy, you had 30 correct. David Lillard, you got 26. You correctly picked Philly and guessed a total score of 43, which was 32 was the actual. And then in third place was Tom Phoenix with 26 correct. He picked Philly, total score of 51 out of 32. So there you have it for the record.
From bottom to top. How you like that? Thank you, Bob. General announcements I'm going to go through pretty quick so we can give our speaker plenty of time to talk. We do have a board meeting next week at Lisa Simpson's office. I'm not sure if anybody needs to attend one to get out of their red badge, but if we are going to have guests at it, please let me know so we can make sure we don't have too many people there. Thank you, Lisa, for hosting us. Does anybody know the results of our World's Greatest Meal Polio Plus fundraiser?
You got it, Mike? No, we raised about $1,000, guys.
Okay, so that means I will be writing a check for $100. And
It'll be more.
Okay. All right.
Just wait on the number.
All right. If you don't know, I pledged to give $1 for every $10 the club gives. So if y'all, I'll go up to $2,000. So if y'all give 20 grand, I'll give 2 on top of it. So there you go. Keep sending money to Mike, and I'll keep adding on to it. Pig stop, Chip, you want to make an announcement?
Yeah, this Saturday at my house from 2 until 6 or later, we have David Lynn and a band, not just David by himself playing. I hope we'll have a turnout and help me cover the cost of that. But we're going to have Rick's going to be cooking brisket and ribs. Christy Holland's cooking her award-winning chicken. I'm cooking award-winning and contest-winning Boston butts. I'm planning on 80 people. I don't know that we've got that many signed up. I haven't been able to get back in the sign up, but we had a great turnout at the World's Greatest Meal. I want everybody to come out. We do need you to bring a chair, bring a mask just in case we're going to try and be outside. It's supposed to be fantastic weather. And we're just going to have a good turnout. Bring a chair, bring a side dish if you will. I've got enough going on trying to keep the house clean and cook the barbecue. So it's going to be a fun time. And David said he is a Rotarian, by the way. I didn't know that when I hired him. But he said he would hang around later on if we wanted him to and play until we got tired. I tend to fire the fire pit and, you know, can bring 300 people, let's do it. What the heck? So please bring friends, invite everybody you know, come on out. We are asking for a donation to the children of Vietnam. I don't know how it's all going, but we plan to not only win some cooking awards, but the People's Choice, which is the most money raised. So we will see to that. Thank you all. Hope to see you Saturday, and I'll send out another email. There is a sign-up sheet if you are coming. Thank you.
Yeah, and if anybody doesn't, please make sure you include the link, Chip. So you don't have to attend to donate. So
it is got that. That's true.
It is a fundraiser. So if you donate, that's how we vote, right? So the judges will taste it, but the People's Choice Award is how much money you raise. So let's boost our cooks up by donating lots of money and help them to win.
I do want to say this. We've only lost that one time. It's because they wouldn't let me write another check last time. So.
Do you want to make an announcement about our scholarship? So I got our board voted on a proposal put forward by Chris Justice to present scholarships to 4 schools. The applicants are in 4 schools: Smith, Dudley, Page, and Grimsley. So our board, I got the final votes today to approve it from some people verbally. So we have approved that proposition that Chris Justice took the time to write for us. Good job, Chris. He did a great job. Judy has now started working on presenting it. She's going to announce.
So this week I have visited 3 of the 4 schools. I don't know if I should say that since we just approved it. But anyway, all the schools that I have visited, they are so excited about the opportunities. And not only did I meet with the principal and assistant principal, but also a lot of the guidance counselors too. And so you could just see the wheels turning in their heads, how they can reach out to like the band director, the athletic director, certain clubs within the schools. And so they're going to take the PDF fillable application, which I've also sent to all the schools, and they're going to get the word out. We told them they can send in as many as 100 applications per school, and the total amount over 4 years is $40,000. So it's a really, really big scholarship. If anyone wants any more information, or if they know a student from Grimsley, Page, Smith, or Dudley that you'd like to get on board with this application, reach out to me. I can reach out to the principals, or we'll make sure they get the application.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, sure.
Okay, 4-way test is, applications are due February 15th for that scholarship. The 4-way test is going to be February 27th. Again, it's going to be at GTCC. I have one student that's interested in doing it for us to represent Gate City Rotary, and she already has the application to fill out. But if there's anyone else that's interested, let me know, and I'll get them the application too. And we can only have 1 per club, but we could make it work and maybe have some type of competition or have them represent another club. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Judy. So the scholarship committee will be filtering through these applications, and if we're going to get that many, sooner is better. Yeah. Give us time to go through them. So, all right. So some exciting stuff, and I want to say we are all learning to adapt to a different world. So, if this works, this will be how we meet for the next 3 months. If it doesn't, we're going to have to adapt again. So, thank you everybody for being flexible, and especially you, Judy, working so hard on this. We do have some prospective new members the board is going to vote on in our satellite club. Chris Neal has taken over for Chris Hampton as our new member chair. Thank you, Chris. And it's Dirk and Mame. What's their last name? Blood. Yeah, very nice people. He is a DEA agent, active DEA agent. She is a stay-at-home mom. I'm sorry.
I don't think we're across Mama either.
So they're both super nice. I had a chance to talk to them at Chip's office. I think we sent out the 7-day letters, right? So the club's all seen their application. The board is going to vote on it next Tuesday at Lisa's office. So please make sure you come board members. The Greensboro Club is having a fundraiser. I sent that information out to everybody with a link. So please support our Greensboro Club. They're doing a think it's a Veterans Day fundraiser. So that should have come to all of you through email. If anybody's having trouble with email, please let me know and I'll see if I can work that out. All right, that's all I have.
Yeah, Dan sent me a couple of notes on Big Stuff. He said that Gate City is narrowly ahead right now on the fundraising. He said airport is close and closing. And he said they are planning on charging at their event. So we need some more donations to stay ahead of it.
Yeah, please. All right, Bobby, you got a $50?
$50. So we're narrowly ahead. Are they gonna have the people in Arizona keep up with the money for big time?
We can have Chip lobby to stop the counting right now.
With that DEA agent now in the front, no more marijuana at the 505.
That's right. That's right. Actually, we did 520. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming this morning that came. And I'll introduce my special escort that helped me find the office this morning here. But anyway, thank you all. It's great to see everybody back here again. And man, I love it. I just hope we can keep this up. Gail.
Rosa is officially moving into the Delta Gamma house in January. Unless something really changes. Yeah. So we're really excited about that. And Victoria's report card came yesterday, and she's been afloat independently. I'm really proud of her. So.
All right.
That's good.
Hey, Bobby. Rick. Well, Steve, you what? Yes, sir. Well, I'm just happy to be here. And happy to be here with all you folks again. Just have us gathering. It was a great day. It was beautiful this morning, sun rising, headed off to Rotary. So pretty happy about that. Also happy Pigsty. Let's talk that thing up. We're going to put in a lot of effort, a lot of work. Chip's gone to a lot of effort to get everything prepared, and we will have a lot of fun. And key is let's get some folks to come on out, throw a couple of bucks in that kitty, and raise some money for that cause. So it's going to be a great weekend. Unlike normal pigsty weather, we don't have Friday night where it's blowing rain, literally in the low 30s, winds 20 miles an hour. I looked at the weather report for this year, and I'm happy just for that. You know, the low is going to be like 50 degrees, and it's going to be sunny and 70 Saturday. So it's going to be a great weekend. Yeah.
Don't forget, you had to push the grill uphill both ways.
That's exactly right. Push it uphill both ways.
Hey. I had the pleasure the other day of working 14 hours at voting precinct and over at Mental Hall Middle. And it was just a great feeling. It was the second time I've done it, and kind of nice to be part of the process. Thank you.
Speaking of process, it's been quite a week, and I just want to give a big shout out to all my friends who have been on the ballot in this year and in years past. Like myself, some of them won, some of them are going to win, some of them did not win, some of them are not going to win. But my good friend Bob Hunter, Chip, one of my favorite Republicans, always used to say, before he was a candidate himself even, that the election and campaigning process is a time of mirth. And mirth was always the word he used. So he was famous when we were out on the campaign trail as judges and whatever, that it's a special opportunity to connect with the people we have to account to and be responsible for as public officials. But it's also an opportunity for us as citizens to engage in that entire process. And the process cannot work, and it depends upon us doing exactly that. And so this is a mirthful time, even in and amongst the angst and the stress and the protests and the uncertainty. And it's a special time that we really should celebrate. And Bob helped us and continues to help us remind us of that. And we should all be grateful we have that opportunity as free Americans. So that's the least great.
No, I got one. I'll kick him off. one similar. My wife always works for years at the precinct, getting around the corner from our house. And then she called in back in September to say y'all work. And she happened to ask if y'all need any help. They said, can you start tomorrow? So every day, they're doing it 7 days a week. She's been working 5 days a week in the basement of the courthouse, dealing with mail-in ballots and that whole process. So she's seen it firsthand. At her hand, out of 80-some thousand ballots they've handled, it's amazing how many she saw people we know. She'll come home every night, you keep that good. But from her, it's a great process. All the steps that are being taken, and it's kind of comforting to know how much detail went in behind the scenes. And she encouraged, if anybody really wants to get involved, go work at the poll. I mean, it's really a great, she's at a public service, and after the first day, I said, well, how, are they paying you? She said, I don't know. She is getting paid, you know, like, but anyway, she didn't even realize, you know, she gets paid for election day, but yeah, it's a great process. Chip.
Chip, great. Like, you got a mask. Yeah, I'm gonna echo that sentiment about the election. Every election cycle, I work the legal team, and it's not all that glamorous. I mean, our job is basically just to field phone calls from the precinct captains and deal with little things that pop up. And I'm definitely happy to report, other than the one late precinct opening here in Guilford County that made state news. The county handled, like all 100 and some precinct sites really well. There were, no issues, and I would echo, what you were saying about the mail-in process. It's very detailed, and they do an excellent job, and it really does rely on a lot of volunteers. So, obviously it's too late this year, but, if any of you guys are interested or concerned about that process, step up and volunteer, because, you are.
I'm gonna throw one more, Bobby. I just hope the folks that are counting all those mail-in ballots aren't the same ones that were counting those coronavirus cases.
All right, I've got a big one. I'm gonna give you a 20. Wow. And that is for the Satellite Club. And as all of this corona was bringing us down, at Chip's effort, and Chris and Dan and Walt and everyone else involved for getting it started. But the Satellite Club itself, we're jumping in, keeping things running, getting cranking, and getting darn close to 20 people. There's a 20 happy dollars.
Okay, more? Grandpappy. I didn't have a grandpappy. I didn't know I was doing happy dollars. You caught me off guard. I'll have to email a grandpappy.
We'll just laugh at you, Bobby. I do have one last announcement before we introduce our speaker that I forgot. December 10th, we're going to have a Christmas party. It's going to be a combined Christmas party. Tony and Auburn are working on it right now. It's going to be at the Grandover. And it's also going to be our changing of the guard / award ceremony. We're going to throw it all into one since we haven't been able to meet and have that part. We're just going to drag it out to Christmas and get it all done. So, Chip, you want to go ahead and announce our speaker?
Sure thing. Y'all may have noticed I had a special escort here this morning. Unfortunately, Lieutenant Banks' car is not as powerful as Chief James. He was able to get here a few minutes before she did, but then he came in right behind me. So we haven't put the cuffs on yet. Anyway, both of these fine folks are natives of Greensboro. I didn't have any background on Lieutenant Banks, but she is, what's your rank? Lieutenant. I'd like to say just something about what you do. But.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I am Chief Executive Officer. I've been here with the police department now for 18 years. It started in 02 March. I'm just excited to be here a little more about the money. So thank you.
managed to meet Chief Banks through a couple of friends, or excuse me, Chief James through a couple of friends here, and I posed by him to come talk to the Satellite Club, and we were so thrilled with that, in particular with all the stuff going on with law enforcement these days and all the issues out there in all these cities all summer long. I thought it'd be great to have him come talk to us, and he is the new police chief this year. Chief Brian James joined the Greensboro Police Department on February 16, 1996, serving in various roles with the department, including Police Neighborhood Resource Center, Criminal Investigations Division, the Training Division, the Resource Management Division, Bureau Command, Support Bureau, Investigative Bureau, Patrol Bureau. James is also involved in numerous community engagement roles such as United Way of America's African American Leadership Cabinet, board chair of the Malachi House, and vice chair of the Guilford Child Development. Greensboro native, graduated of Page High School. I went to Greensboro. All against you. Bachelor's degree of Business Administration from NCAT State University and MBA from Pfeiffer University. Graduated the FBI National Academy, the Administrative Officers Management Program at NC State University, and the Senior Management Institute for Police. Chief James is happily married with 3 beautiful daughters. He's a mentor in the African American Male Initiative and is chair of the United Way's African American Leadership Initiative. Anyway, without further ado, Brian James, and he's a great guy.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate the great introduction, and I was telling somebody recently. I said, you know, I had a lot of opportunity to do a lot of different things, and but really, I mean, honestly, what I'm most proud of is that I grew up right here in Greensboro, and I grew up in a great community, and that really has more to do with who I am versus everything I've been able to do. And this is still a great community. I did go to Page High School. Hope nobody's offended by that. But I had a chance to play a little bit of football over there for a guy named Marion Kirby, if anybody remembers Coach Kirby. I had a chance to win a state championship. Proud of that. Went to A&T, and shortly after that, I actually joined the sheriff's department initially, and worked there for a couple of years, and then I got on with the police department. So I actually started with the sheriff's office in 1994, shortly after I graduated from A&T. So I had some great opportunities. Lieutenant Banks, she is my executive officer. As you can imagine, we get a ton of communications and requests every day, and just a lot of things that have to be done. And she really runs interference for me. And she has been with the department for a long time. Just started in the chief's office about 3 months ago, and now I don't know how I ever got along without her. So I really appreciate what she does. And hopefully one day after I'm gone, she may be the one standing up here talking to your Rotary Club. So hopefully her career will continue to progress. People call me, somebody called me the newish police chief, because I've been with the department so long. And I thought that was kind of a slick way of saying it, because when I got the job in February, I went through this process, and I said this story before, went through this process, this national search, right? And so I get there with these other candidates from all over the country, and really what I wanted to tell them was, get a good look at Greensboro, because you're not going to be here long. And so, but really what I did is that, I knew that, we do a national process for a reason, because this job obviously is very important. You got to make sure you get the right person. But what I wanted to prove was that I had prepared myself for this job. And what I also really wanted to prove was that Greensboro does have the capability of growing its own leaders. And I know we have a lot of great people that are here from all across the country, have migrated here and called Greensboro home. But this is a community that has the capability. We do have some great schools and some great universities and great programs throughout the community that can develop people for leadership. So I was proud of the fact that I was able to just grow right here in this town. Actually never left, was born at Cone Hospital in 1970 and remained here and was able to ascend to this position. So I'm very proud of that. So I get the job in February, and one of the things that I was listening to was that, people wanted to actually have access, to the chief or to the chief's office. And so we did this community-wide tour, and we started to hear some things about, things that people were concerned about. And so we went through, we did about 9 meetings, and they got cut short because of coronavirus. So as I was trying to really get the department back into a mode of really back into community policing, then all of a sudden they're saying, well, don't go out and have contact with people, and it's like, that's what we do. It's really the lifeblood of police work, because what I tell people is that if you don't have a great relationship with the community, your police department is not going to be as effective as it could be. So we all of a sudden, of course, we're locked down. We're still dealing with the pandemic. We're living through it now. So everything's kind of locked down. So we kind of go to these virtual formats and still try to maintain that community contact. So then shortly after that, I guess, not even maybe a couple of months after that, you have the incident in Minneapolis with George Floyd, which of course started a lot of other things in law enforcement, a lot of conversations. And we had some protests, of course, here in Greensboro. We all know about that. We did have some property damage as well, and we dealt with that. And what I'll say is this, is that it caused us to rethink a lot of things within police work. It also caused us to look at some policies and things like that. So what we did as a department, I started to look at some of our individual policies. And what I'll say is that we were already accredited through the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. That's a national organization. So we're constantly tasked with reviewing our policies. So we already had many of the best practices that you'll see in any law enforcement agency across the country, but some of it was a language thing. So when you looked at the incident with George Floyd, one of the things that people said was, well, the officers, not just the officer that was directly involved, but the officers stood around and didn't do anything. So what we did is we put in a policy that said if another officer is using excessive force, that they had a duty to intervene. So if Lieutenant Banks was using excessive force, I got to go and say, hey, Francis, stop doing this. I got to either intervene verbally or physically, and that's an obligation. Now, we already had a policy on the books that said if you saw another officer violating a policy, that you had a duty to report. But I really wanted to make it clear that we were going to intervene if another officer was doing something that was out of bounds. So we looked at that policy. We also looked at mental health around police officers. And I know that in law enforcement, that's always been kind of a taboo topic, because when they pull you in to do a psych eval, the first thing you may think is like, oh my gosh, they're trying to go after my job or something. So what I tell people is this. So right now, we have a policy when we hire people, we do a psychological assessment to make sure that they're suitable for law enforcement. Now, more specifically, I like to make sure that they're suitable for law enforcement for this community, because it may be really a different level of suitability when you talk about specific communities. So when we join the police department, we have to do a psychological exam. I have not had a psychological exam since probably since late 1995. Now, I assure you, I'm in good mental health, but the thing is, the job over time, the things that you're exposed to, the things that you see, they can take a toll on you. So what we did is we put in a policy, which we're going to implement in January, that every 5 years, every police officer is going to have a reevaluation, essentially another psych exam, just to make sure everything is going well, make sure you're still in the right frame of mind, because that does play a huge role in how you react when you go out to these various calls. Now, in addition to that, what we did was we're implementing a program where officers also have access to at least 12 visits with a mental health counselor every year. And that's something that they can do anonymously. It's essentially like an EAP, or an employee assistance program, where they can actually access a mental health counselor at no cost, up to 12 times a year. So I wanted to go ahead and put that in as well, and make sure that they have access to mental health, and not just go with the eval. So we're going to do the eval every 5 years to make sure that everybody is where they should be. So some of the things that we implemented as well, we implemented what we call a homeless assistance resource team. And I know you all frequent all parts of Greensboro, and we do have an issue with homelessness in this town. And we've been struggling with that for a long time. And so we implemented this team that what we're trying to do is we're trying to work with some of the homeless care providers to actually connect folks to resources and make an attempt to try to get them off the street. Because what happens is we get the calls, we get the, you know, the trespassing calls and the various calls that kind of go along with homelessness. And, you know, you charge people with these kind of petty crimes, and Judge Hassel can tell you it's a never ending revolving door of people going downtown for crimes, and they can't pay the fees, they can't, you know, they don't show up to court, they issue the order for arrest, we go out and we arrest them again. It's just a never ending cycle. So we're trying to find some ways to actually solve some problems versus continuing to take people to jail. Now, I'll tell you this, people ask me oftentimes, like, what am I most concerned about? It's a couple of things. One thing I'm concerned about overall, at the forefront of my mind right now, is violent crime in Greensboro. We have had an uptick in violent crime. If you look across the country, a lot of cities, a lot of large cities have had an uptick in violent crime. So we are currently at 47 homicides in the city of Greensboro this year, and that is a record for us. Last year we had 45, which was the record at that time. So we've now exceeded that. We still have almost 2 months left in the year. We have reorganized in a lot of different ways within the department in terms of how we deploy officers. We have several tactical teams that are focused on particularly gun crimes and those people who carry guns. But we're also working with a lot of other people that do things in the community to try to prevent violent crime from occurring. And this is a community effort. And one thing I tell people is this: the things that happen in your community are a direct result of how we invest in our community. So I always talk about economic development, and people think like, well, why is the chief talking about economic development? Well, the thing is this: so you got some people, and I would say this is I kind of came up with this term. I call some people situational criminals, meaning that you know, they're gonna react depending on what they have access to. So, you know, if I can't find employment, if I don't have a place to live, if I don't have the things that we all need each and every day, then you may resort to some criminal activity. Now, there are some people that are just criminals. They're built that way, they're wired that way, and unfortunately, there'll always be a certain segment of the population that is like that. But I think a lot of things that we can prevent as a community when we look at economic development, you know, what are we doing to bring jobs into the community? What are we doing to build up certain parts of the community? And I think that plays a huge role in how things pan out, because we're simply, as police officers, we're responding to those areas that have all these different issues on a routine basis, and some of that can be prevented. The other part that I'll tell you that concerns me is recruiting, and I say that because you know, I talk about policy a lot, but you know, I know there's probably some football fans in here. You can have the greatest coach in the world, but if you don't have the players to execute those plans, then it's not going to go well. Just ask Bill Belichick right now. You know? So I mean, it's true. I mean, you know, he doesn't have Tom Brady anymore. I'll just leave it at that. So, but I like Cam, but things just aren't working out right now. But my point is, I got to get the right people in the department in order to have a great police department. We've got people that are retiring all the time, and so I'm constantly in a mode of trying to bring in the right people to the police department. Now, there's a couple of things that are involved in that. One is we have to make sure that we stay competitive throughout this region with salaries. And that's a conversation, of course, that we have to have a conversation with the manager's office and ultimately the city council. But when you start to fall behind in salaries, then your recruiting is going to be reflected in that. So, you know, you get a young person that comes to this community that wants to be a police officer, the first thing they're probably going to look at is the benefits package and the salary. So it's a couple of things. You know, for one thing, we have to sell this community and this region as a great place to live, but there also has to be a competitive benefits salary, benefits package as well. And I am concerned about recruiting. The other part, again, and I'll circle back to this, is we talk about community relationships. We have gone out and literally on foot, especially since everything happened in Minneapolis, we've gone out on foot and literally knocked doors and talked to people. And what I'll tell you is this: even though law enforcement gets a certain amount of criticism, you know, especially now, we have a lot of support in this community from all sides of the community. And I think that sometimes if you watch enough TV and look at enough social media, and my goodness, social media is just too much of it. I try not to look at it if I can help it, but if you look at all those things, you would think that like there's so many people that just don't like the police department. But when we go in these communities, you know, they're telling us, you know, we want to see more of you in our community. You know, we want to live in a safe community. You know, we want good police officers. You know, and that's a reasonable request, and we want to provide good police officers. But we have to constantly go out there and continue to build those relationships because of what we do. It's inevitable that something controversial is going to happen eventually. And what I hope is that we can build up the type of trust that when that incident happens, that I have an opportunity to investigate it and to provide an explanation to the public versus people, you know, immediately reacting and doing things like that. So I really have to make sure that we maintain those relationships. But one thing I'll tell you is this, is that, you know, somebody asked me and said, well, what's your vision for the police department? And what I told them was that, I said, it's really just simple as two things. I want our community to believe that we have the best police department in the country, and also want our officers and our employees to believe that this is the best place to work. And I think that if we can do everything that we do under those two umbrellas, I think that we're always headed in the right direction. And I feel like even with everything going on in the world, we actually have great morale in the police department, and we have a very good police department. And so I want to assure you of that. And I'll tell you this, as we look across the country, I've had a chance to meet a lot of other police chiefs and high-ranking officials at other departments, and a lot of things that we're doing that we've been doing for years, people are just now kind of getting into that. One thing is that we started the body-worn camera program back in 2012, the fall of 2012. So we fully implemented body cameras throughout the department, and we continue to have that program. And that has been very helpful for us because oftentimes when we have an incident that may be viewed as controversial, I have the option of, and I do have to go before a Superior Court judge, but I have the option of releasing that video footage. And I've done that once since I've been in this role. And that is a great tool for the community. I think that if anybody has an issue with us, you know, they have an option of actually coming back themselves and looking at the video. And then of course we can look at it and investigate any kind of complaints that we have, and we can determine exactly what the officer did. The other part for us is you know, depending on your industry, you might want to call it quality control, but it gives us the opportunity, even when we don't have a complaint, we can go back and we can randomly look at some videos and just kind of see how things are going with officers throughout the department, and to make sure that they're doing things the way we would like them to do. So one thing I'll tell you this funny story real quick. So I just met Chip like maybe probably 3 or 4 months ago, and now I run into him like 3 times a month. Like literally, like yeah. Just,
usually not downtown.
Official business?
But yeah, literally, I run into him over at Possibilities. I was at a lunch with somebody that's retired, and then Chip is there. He knows a guy named Brian Cheek that used to work for us that retired. Brian Cheek introduces me to him, and now I literally run into Chip like 2 or 3 times a month. It's just the weirdest thing. So
he gets around.
Yeah. But I was sitting back there talking to him before we started, and he was telling me that his mother worked at Kaiser Junior High School and retired in 1982 from about the mid-60s and retired in 1982. And I said, my grandfather was a custodian at Kaiser Junior High School from probably the mid-50s, and he retired in 1983. And so obviously my grandfather knew his mother, and he knew who my grandfather was. And it just shows you how small the world really is and how we're all kind of interconnected. And it really doesn't matter, you know, who you are, what side of town you lived on, what political party you're affiliated with. We really are all interconnected. And I say that's kind of the story of Greensboro. That's always kind of a, Chip said he moved here when he was 2, but he was born in Charlotte. I said, well, I'll say you're from Greensboro. I'll just say, yes, since you came when you were 2. but no, but I appreciated that story because it just, people, you might look at me, in uniform, out of uniform, and look at Chip and think like those guys probably don't have anything in common. We actually have a ton of stuff in common. And I think that I probably have a lot of things in common with all of you that are sitting here this morning. And I think the one thing that I can say is that we all want to have a safe community and a Greensboro that's thriving for everybody that lives here. And so with that, I will conclude, and I'll be glad to take any questions that anybody has. Yes, sir.
You shared what the result of that body camera investigation was last time I heard you speak. Would you mind sharing that with everyone?
Yeah. So we had a young man that was he was in a car that one of our tactical units stopped, and so he ran from the passenger seat of the car. The officers gave chase, and so as they were giving chase, they hear a gunshot. So of course they paused and waited to see what was going on. Then they slowly approached and found this young man laying on the ground. So he made an accusation as he was in the hospital that we had actually shot him. So we had already reviewed the body-worn camera footage, and it was kind of getting a little bit of traction on social media. And what I'll say is this: is that I don't typically do knee-jerk reactions, especially to anything on social media, because anybody with a phone can put anything on there, and if we responded to everything everyone says, I'd never be able to do anything else. But one of the local publications actually picked it up and wrote a story about it. So it kind of put us in a position where, okay, I really need to respond and go ahead and put this fire out, because if you don't put a cap on it, it'll kind of grow. And I heard this saying one time that, if people are thirsty, they'll drink the water even if it's dirty. So I had to put a cap on it really quick, and I'll tell you, without the body-worn camera footage, all I would have is just me saying that we didn't shoot, and trying to explain it. And the body-worn camera footage, it really just clarifies everything and kind of puts a damper on it. And after that, it went away and nobody's talking about it.
He shot himself.
Yeah, he actually shot himself. Yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. I left out the most important part. Yeah. I left out the most important part. Yeah. He was trying to pull a gun out of his gym bag, which I think he was probably going to use it on one of our officers. And as he was pulling it out of the bag, he actually shot through the bag and shot himself in the abdomen. So that didn't work out. Yes, sir.
Chief, first of all, thanks for being here. One of the obvious criticisms you hear, nationwide is that, departments are too quick to use force, or, too quick to use deadly force. And, you see a pretty strong correlation with, the subject having mental health problems. Where is the Greensboro Department on de-escalation training and specifically dealing with mental health issues that you find to do?
So we do a lot of stuff, and I'll try to condense it all into a few words here. So we run our own police academy, which throughout the state, most of your police officers actually train at community college. The state requires a minimum of 640 hours of training. We do 980 hours of training. Part of that is de-escalation. So we have an entire lesson or block of instruction on de-escalation. So that's actually taught in the academy. We also do update training every few years, which we call in-service training, where we do some actual live scenarios. In addition, if you look at as far as use of force, we do a lot of, well, let me just say this, we do a lot of like live kind of simulated scenario training. One thing I'll say is that I guess the biggest incident, I guess, is on the forefront now. You look at the officers in Philadelphia with the guy with the knife. And so, I mean, that's a tough situation. And then when I looked at it a little bit further, the officers did not have tasers, or what they call a less than lethal option. So we actually have tasers as well. So we've actually, over the years, we've had a number of situations where deadly force more than likely would have been justified, and we were able to use something less like a taser. And what I'll say is, and this is the problem, I'll say this is the problem with law enforcement. The standards are different throughout the country. The number of hours required are different. And you've got over 18,000 separate law enforcement agencies throughout the country. we've got about 500 separate law enforcement agencies just in North Carolina. And so everybody is trained differently. I will say, because we've been accredited for such a long period of time, we do have best practices. We are really on the cutting edge of a lot of things, including de-escalation training, which we've done for a very long time. So I feel pretty confident that, we're going to react in the best way. Of course, when that individual officer is there, they've got to make the decision on the spot. And that's a tough thing to do, especially when it's real time. It's very easy to go back and kind of watch video and, your heart rate's at about 65 and you're sitting in the air conditioning. I mean, versus actually being in the actual situation. So you have to take some of that into account. I'll say this as far as the mental health, in North Carolina, mental health treatment has been underfunded for a long time. And as a result of that, we end up responding to an increase of calls involving mental subjects. And sometimes we're not always the best ones to respond. Now, if the person is acting out violently or has a knife or something like that, then obviously we have to respond. But there are some calls that, quite honestly, maybe a clinician couldn't respond to. And I know they've talked about that some, but I still think that there may be some problems with that because you really don't know what you have until you get there. This gentleman in the back actually had a question.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
I have one simple question.
Okay.
Are you a Rotarian?
Not yet.
You're getting Lieutenant Banks too.
Not yet.
So I'm pretty sure people answer more questions after, but we're out of time. So thank you very much. I can say based on what I've seen in the military and what you guys do, you guys are top notch and you're doing a great job already. Thank you. I do want to say we're going to work out some more kinks as we go through these meetings. Please come back if you feel safe. We have 17 people on Zoom, so this is, in 6 months, this is the best attendance we've had at a meeting yet. So thank y'all for coming.
Got one other thing. Buster, in his absence, he sent me what Grandpappy would have said had Buster been here. He wanted to know, Grandpappy wanted to know about the beta testers for preparation A through G. What happened?
Thanks everybody for joining via Zoom. We'll keep working on these kinks. We've got some ideas on how to better include everyone out there. Just figuring it out as we go along.
What do you think?